I spent 100 days in Minecraft Pixelmon using only dragon Pokemon. To become a dragon-type master, I'll have to complete these 5 difficult challenges. Catch every regular dragon type, obtain a shiny dragon, catch a legendary dragon, defeat a mega boss dragon, and use only dragon types to defeat 9 gyms. With only 100 days, could I complete all of these crazy challenges? Well, let's find out. Day 1. I spawn in, and my first important decision is picking my starter. None of the regular starters are a dragon type, but since I'm playing on the Anubis MC server, I can instead pick one of these awesome starters. 4 of them are dragons, so let me know in the comments which of these dragons you would pick. For me, I choose Dratini, the OG dragon. Our little blue noodle will be my partner for the next 100 days. But first, I needed to find a place to live. Since I'm a dragon trainer, it seems only right that I build my base up in the mountains. So, after exploring for a really long time, I found a fitting place to call home, where I would build my ultimate dragon lair. Perfect. Okay, look, it's still a work in progress. I had a lot to do as these challenges were going to be incredibly tough to finish in only 100 days. But for now, I just wanted to explore the surrounding area. Since I couldn't see any dragon Pokemon, I decided to try and level up our Dratini. Except our little noodle is so weak. I was getting destroyed by just about everything. I was quickly reminded that while dragon types are cool and powerful Pokemon, their early forms are awful, making this challenge even harder. While I was able to get some levels by mercilessly hunting a family of innocent Bidoof, this was really slow, and by the end of day 3, my Dratini was only at level 8. In this challenge, I can't afford to waste any time. So, as day 4 started, I decided to hunt for some stronger dragon types. But at this point, I found out that the server has an area to help with EV training. So, I looked around for a bit and found a Bagon. This is an awesome find, and while it did not want to stay in the ball, eventually I caught it and we finally had our second dragon, Bacon the Bagon. Since the Pokemon here are a low level, I did a bunch of training. This was really helpful as it meant that by the start of day 6, both of my baby blue dragons were at level 16. I continued exploring and mercilessly pillaged a village of their books and crops. I also had my first trainer battles against some local NPCs, and my dragons actually managed to get their first win. Raiding that village gave me a thirst to raid more. The kind of thirst that can only be quenched by our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is the awesome free-to-play game that lets you collect and battle with nearly 700 champions. The champions have incredible designs too, like Helior, a knight with a burning sun on his shield. And they've recently added an awesome new faction, the Sylvan Watchers. This faction lives in the huge jungle of Mistwood on the east side of Teleria. But my favorite aspect of the Sylvan Watchers is how cool they look. They all have an awesome nature vibe, with my favorite being Elva Autumnborn, a support champion who's covered in this majestic tree-looking armor. On top of that, there's even more happening in Raid with the new Valentine's Day event, the Raid Love Quest, where you can win in-game champions as well as Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000 just by playing Raid. All you need to do is download Raid for free using my link in the description, then head to this address on screen, enter your player ID, and just like that, you could be $1,000 richer. With these new events underway, now is a great time to start playing Raid. And to sweeten the deal, new players can use my link in the description or scan this QR code to get a free bonus starter pack and some extra in-game loot. So, download Raid for free and make sure to enter the Raid Love Quest to win some awesome prizes. After we robbed the locals of their lunch money, we pressed on. We were making progress, but my team was still so weak. I desperately needed more dragons, so I explored until I found a desert biome. Here, I'm able to find a Trapinch, who I named Sandy Cheeks. It's not a dragon yet, but it will be soon. There's one more Pokemon that I want from the desert though, and I had to search for ages, until I finally found a Gibble, one of my favorite dragon types, and it despawned. Ugh. After an eternity, I finally found another one and caught it just in time. Now we had Jaws the baby shark. Next, I came across this base that wasn't claimed, and there was some decent loot here, but stealing is wrong, so you know I did the honorable thing. So anyway, with my new diamond tools that I definitely didn't steal, I continued exploring and found a Pokestop. After building up to it, I got a crate key, which I used in the spawn and got $15,000 and a ridiculously powerful axe. Maybe this would be my ticket to beating some stronger Pokemon. Now I was rich, and with my newfound wealth, I bought a Master Ball from the player shop, as well as a Leaf Stone, which I have some big plans for. My team had gotten a lot stronger, so maybe now we would stand a chance against an ultimate boss. Never mind. That goal is going to be a tough one. Now it was day 8, and right next to my base, I found an adorable little Jangmo-o, who I caught and named Braveheart. On top of that, we were about to get a huge boost. Remember that God Axe? Well, I did some wheeling and dealing, and found a player who was willing to trade it for an EXP all. This item is like the modern EXP share, giving my whole party EXP instead of only the ones that battle. This is huge because it'll really speed up my leveling. But for now, I just wanted to collect more dragons and continue working on my dragon decks. So I went back to exploring and found the most dragony dragon of all time. Execute. Just listen to this guy's cry.
Execute.
Anyway, I caught the cursed eggs, and you might be wondering why, since Executor isn't a dragon. But just wait, you'll see. Then, soon after, in a swamp, I found a Goomy. Except this guy is a level 38, while my team is only half of that. I had to try and catch it, but my team was being wiped out one by one. I was down to only my Jangmo-o, but I got super lucky catching Goomy just in time. Now I had a level 38 Goo Ball, and my team was starting to come together as the sun rose on day 10. But I was way behind on my goals, and I started to think that all of this just wasn't going to be possible in only 100 days. Although I was still determined and kept on pushing. It took me 2 whole days, but eventually I found an Alolan Rattata. I know it's not a dragon, unless... No, but seriously, this little guy is crucial, because by having an Alolan form Pokemon in our party, I can use a Leaf Stone on our Execute to evolve it into this giant thing. In its Alolan form, believe it or not, this giant palm tree is actually a dragon. Thank you for your service, Rattata, but I don't need you anymore. So into the bin you go. At this point, I made an incredible discovery. Are you ready? I can ride my giant tree! This is so ridiculous. I love it. Get in, loser. We're going shopping. So far, we had 6 dragon types, and we were still way behind on our goals. But to be honest, looking at my base just made me sad.
Please don't tell anyone how I live.
So I decided to spend some time doing some renovations, and this ended up taking a really long time. But by the end of day 20, I was finally finished. I know, it's the best base you've ever seen. It took me a long time to build, but I did a few other things in the meantime, like mining a ton of resources, building a nether portal, and even finding another Pokestop, which spawned right next to my base. I had to build a bridge to reach it, but got across and was rewarded with a crate key. However, on the way back, a Carcole decided to join me. I'm sorry, Carcole. Long live the king. I also organized my inventory and added some machines to the base, like a PC and trade station. But more importantly, I found another unprotected base, and oh my god, look at all this loot! He probably didn't want any of this stuff anyway. Right? But it gets even better, because one of those items was a fossil, which ended up being a Tyrant. I revived it in the fossil machine, and now we had another dragon in our collection. Honestly, I love Tyrant, and Rock Dragon is an awesome typing. That all took a long time, but it should help to prepare us for the next 80 days. So, as day 21 began, I went and opened up my crates, which gave me some Pokeballs and a fat stack of cash. Feels good, man. Now that we had a few more Pokemon, I wanted to check out the gyms and try to get my first badge from the Bug-type leader. And I mean, bugs are terrible, so this should be a breeze, right? Well, turns out that all the gyms have fully evolved Pokemon with strong stats and movesets, so I got destroyed immediately. These gyms look so tough, and this was gonna make my goal of obtaining the first 9 gym badges even harder. Looking at my goals, I wasn't gonna stand a chance against any gyms or mega bosses until I beefed up my team. So I decided to do some training. And at this point, I learned that the server has an area to help speed up grinding, which is an absolute godsend. Although, I wish I knew about that earlier when I had to hunt Bidoof, but better late than never. This was a painful grind that took ages, since I need to max out all my EVs before grinding EXP in the Chansey spawner. However, this was absolutely worth it, because I was able to evolve my team insanely fast. Pokemon were evolving all over the place. By the end of day 25, our dragons were fully evolved and looking incredible. Although, now our blue noodle was neither blue nor looked like a noodle. They grow up so fast. Anyway, including middle stage evolutions, now our dragon dex was at 20. We'd made some solid progress towards becoming a dragon type master, but our other goals still had a long way to go, and we were already a quarter of the way through our 100 days. Despite that, now we had some real powerhouse Pokemon, and what's more, now we can fly on our dragons, which not only looks cool, but makes traveling way quicker. Being able to fly around on a dragon is something that I love about Pixelmon. And hey, if you want to play Pixelmon with me, come and join me on Anubis MC at play.anubismc.com. I'll leave a link in the description that'll show you how to download their custom Pixelmon mod pack to help you join the server. And once you're on the server, join me in the Pika City realm. To help you get started, my audience can get some free bonus loot, which you can claim in-game just by typing /partner-redeem Keegan. So come play with me on Anubis MC, and my dragons and I will utterly crush you. Anyway, as the sun rose on day 26, since I now had some stronger Pokemon, I decided to once again try and challenge the Bug-type gym. But this did not go well. Even fully evolved, my dragons still got absolutely annihilated. The leaders roster is stacked with some of the strongest bugs in the whole franchise. Over the coming days, I lost time and time and time again. But with each loss, I learned more about the leaders' moves and items. After losing way too many times, I spent the next few days learning new moves, buying some items, some TMs, searching for loot, and leveling up my team. And by day 30, I finally had a new plan for the Bug Gym. He leads with a Shuckle, who I know wants to set up Stealth Rock. So I immediately have Komodo use Belly Drum to maximize my attack. While this does cost half of my HP, by using Drain Punch on the next turn, I can heal it all back as Shuckle falls at the end of the turn. Next is Volcarona, who I know outspeeds me, firing off a huge super effective Psychic, and Komodo just survives on 14 HP. This lets me fire off an Autotomize, giving Komodo +2 speed. Now I'm faster than Volcarona, and a Drain Punch takes it out on the next turn. I get burned by its Flame Body ability, which really hurts, but I can still just tank a Bullet Punch from Scizor before Drain Punch also takes it out too. Due to my burn, Drain Punch doesn't finish Heracross, and Komodo finally goes down. From my previous attempts, I know that Heracross has a Choice Scarf, but since it's at low health, I go into Dragonite and finish it off with a priority Extreme Speed. Dragonite does big damage to Pinsir with 2 more Extreme Speeds before falling. However, my Choice Scarf Garchomp can quickly finish Pinsir, with Salamence crushing the Scolipede that follows, giving us the win, and on day 30, my dragons had finally earned their very first gym badge. But if it was that hard to just get the Bug badge, how on earth would we get the other 8 badges in time? It was going to be tough, but I wasn't going to give up. In the following days, I went through a similar process with the normal type gym, losing a bunch of times. Eventually, I used the combo of Dragon Dance on Komodo, as well as Drain Punch, to rip through the leader's first 5 Pokemon. His last Pokemon is a Ditto, which hit me with a fat Uno reverse card, as it turned into a Komodo, which my whole team is weak to. This demonic pile of goo nearly swept my whole team with Dragon Claw. It was looking grim, however, I had a plan. First, I pivot Salamence in and out to nerf the Sussy Imposter's attack with Intimidate. After that, Salamence can just survive an attack before a Dragon Claw is enough to crush the leader's final Pokemon, earning us a very close badge number 2. After that was the Electric Gym, but thankfully, this one was much smoother. Flygon is a great counter here thanks to its secondary ground type. So, after setting up a few Dragon Dances, we can then sweep through the gym leader's whole team with Earthquake and Dragon Claw. It took some time, but now we had 3 gym badges out of the 9 required for my goal. But some of our hardest matchups still remained against opponents like the Fairy and Dragon type gyms. So as day 36 started, I wanted to hunt some more dragons to help with our upcoming difficult battles. So I flew around on Dragonite, desperately looking for a savanna biome. It took way too long, but eventually I spotted one, and almost immediately I found exactly what I was looking for. A Drakloak, one of my favorite dragons who I would love to catch, and I accidentally killed it. Ugh, why am I like this? Fortunately, soon after, I found a tiny little Dreepy. I didn't want to KO another one, so I didn't attack and just threw Pokeballs. This was a terrible idea, because this thing did not want to stay in the ball. Seriously, I sat here forever throwing balls, and it just kept breaking out. Get in the ball, you stupid ghost! But after burning through over 60 Pokeballs, I finally caught the damn Dreepy. We'd caught another dragon, but now I had no Pokeballs left. So I needed to build a small farm and a Pokeball factory to help me stock up. And just like my base, this took way longer than I'd like to admit, but by day 41, I'd added another underground level to my base that would let me craft some Pokeballs. So I spent the day making balls, meaning that by day 42, I was stocked up and ready to go hunting for dragons. But I never expected what happened next, because a Rayquaza spawned literally right on top of my base. It's so beautiful. I wasted no time and immediately threw my Master Ball to catch the almighty Rayquaza. That's a huge catch, as not only do we now have a new incredibly powerful dragon, but we also completed our goal of catching a legendary dragon. Rayquaza looks incredible, and it's even cooler when it's mega evolved. That's our first goal completed, but we still had plenty more to do. So after spending a day EV training our new extra large green noodle, I got back to hunting dragons. The first 3 I targeted were Dino, Druddigon, and Duraludon, since these 3 all spawn in the mountains. However, there's a problem. Dino only spawns in a special type of extreme hills, while Druddigon and Duraludon are both insanely rare. As a result, I spent forever flying around, but just couldn't find any of them. The fact that dragons are generally really rare is going to make finishing this dragon dex a lot harder than I thought. With time ticking down, I was already halfway through my 100 days. So I gave up on those for now and decided to hunt for the most terrifying and delicious looking dragon, Applin. This little guy spawns on treetops in the forest. It's still a rare Pokemon and took a while, but once I stumbled across a forest, I found my little apple. But another problem. To evolve Applin, we need a Sweet Apple and Tart Apple, 2 incredibly rare items that only have a 5% chance to be held by a wild Applin. Since it's a rare Pokemon to begin with, hitting that 5% chance was going to be a nightmare. Stupid Apple, stand still! Fight me, you coward! I did try for a while, but had no luck and gave up on evolving my little apple for now. Instead, I went back to hunting the mountain dragons, and I finally had some luck as I was able to find a dino. Except I killed it. Are you kidding me? Why does this keep happening? Anyway, after calmly composing myself, I continued hunting and fortunately found another dino, which I was actually able to catch this time around. I spent ages hunting for those other 2 dragons, but was having no luck, and it felt like I just wouldn't have any chance of completing my dragon dex. But then I had an idea. See, Pixelmon now has lures. These items influence the spawn rates of certain Pokemon. So if I use a dragon lure, then dragon types will have more chance of spawning. These lures take a long time to make, and I need a ton of berries. So I expanded my dank underground farm and made use of my God Hoe to be able to grow some berries. With the berries I already had, I crafted some dragon lures, and now on day 60, it was time to get back to hunting. Duraludon normally has an abysmal 0.0061% chance of spawning, which is about 1 in 16,000. However, with a dragon lure, that skyrockets to 1 in 5,000. This stupid hunk of metal is still rarer than a shiny, and I have no idea why. What makes you so special? I have no idea how I'm gonna find Duraludon, so instead, I used my lures to hunt down some other dragon types. It took forever, but I did start to make some progress on our goal. For example, in the mountains, I eventually did find a Dratigan, who I quickly caught. And after a long time searching in the nether, I also found the fire dragon, Turtonator. Although, something about this guy's nose just makes me feel uncomfortable. Anyway, I continued hunting and... Wait, Keegan J, you're not the real one, are you? Oh, me? No, I'm just a fan. Over the next few days, I continued hunting and was able to add a few new dragons to our roster, like a Noibat who I found in the jungle, as well as a Skrelp at the bottom of the ocean. Come here. Stop. Just stand still. After catching the evasive seaweed, I continued hunting for the 5% Applin before catching a Horsey in the ocean, as well as a Swablu in the forest. While these aren't dragons yet, they will be once they evolve. But by now, I'd run out of dragon lures, so I expanded my berry farm to help make even more. And here, I was about to get a surprise, because I realized that one of the Applin I caught was actually holding a sweet apple. With this sweet apple, we can evolve our Applin into an adorable, tiny, delicious little Appleton. I adore this guy and his cute apple helmet. We'd caught a lot of new Pokemon lately, so I decided to train up our new dragons. This took a really long time because I grinded EVs onto my Pokemon as well as grinding EXP in the training area. It's especially hard to train dragons since some of them evolve at a really high level. However, this was absolutely worth it because we had a ton of evolutions, giving us a bunch of brand new dragons. Just look at these absolute Chad Pokemon. And with the help of my friend here, this derpy little Patrick, we can trade our Seadra while holding a dragon scale, allowing it to evolve into a mighty Kingdra. Looking at our goals, we only have 3 gym badges, but since we now have more Pokemon, I wanted to try and get a few more badges. While Rayquaza is banned from gyms since it's a legend, we do have plenty of other heavy hitters. First up is the Water Gym, and this one is pretty straightforward. The leader opens with Swampert, who can't do too much to my Dragonite. So, my plan is to set up with 4 Dragon Dancers. I just have to dodge being burned by Scald, which, of course, with my luck, kept on happening over and over. But eventually, I have an attempt where I dodge the burn before my boosted Dragonite sweeps through pretty much his whole team with a string of electrified Thunder Punches. That's our 4th badge secured. And the Ghost Badge was just as simple. By having our new Dragapult hold the Choice Band, we can just spam Phantom Force. With this approach, our Spooky Dragon can absolutely rip through the leader's first 4 Pokemon. The rest of my team chips in to take out the last 2, giving us a clean win on our very first attempt. 5 down, 4 to go. The fighting gym, however, was a lot trickier, and I got crushed multiple times. But just like my struggles against the bug gym, eventually I came up with a plan. The gym leads with a Komodo, and at the very least, I gotta respect their style for using a dragon type. Regardless, this thing is a problem. It has powerful dragon moves that my whole team is weak to. So I have Salamence try to take it out with a super effective fly, but we fall just short and Salamence falls. However, Komodo ends up dying as well due to its own Life Orb recoil. Next in is Howlucha, and I go with Dragonite. This Howlucha can't really do much to Dragonite, so I'm free to set up 2 Dragon Dancers. From here, a Thunder Punch crushes Howlucha, and then Blaziken also falls to a Thunder Punch and Extreme Speed combo. Toxicroak dies to Outrage before Dragonite is finally taken out by a Bullet Punch from Lucario. But I planned for this as an Earthquake from Flygon finishes Lucario, with Breloom also falling a short time later. That gives us the win and our 6th badge. Those 3 gyms didn't end up being too bad, however, the next few gyms absolutely horrify me. We have to take on a team of dragons, as well as the Fairy Gym. That one is going to be a nightmare, since the Fairy type was basically created just to crush dragons. So we had our work cut out for us. But with time running out, I needed to work on our other goals. And I was about to get insanely lucky, because while exploring, I ran into a Mega Boss Salamence. One of my goals is to slay a dragon Mega Boss, so this is perfect. But beating it isn't easy because it's a level 109. How is that even possible? So how do we beat this thing? Well, I have a plan revolving around my floating cloud, and things were about to get very cheesy. I lead with Altaria, and a super effective Dragon Breath absolutely should kill me. However, it doesn't since I'm holding a Focus Sash. This guarantees that I can land the move Perish Song, which causes everyone on the field to faint in 3 turns. So, while Salamence does easily KO half my team, ultimately it dies to Perish Song, and our big brain strats had slayed the Mega Boss Dragon. Not only does that complete another one of our goals, but we're also rewarded with the Salamencite, which allows us to Mega Evolve our very own Salamence. Look at how awesome this guy is. After taking our Mega Mence out for a spin, I went back to the base, and now our berry farm was thriving. After harvesting the fruits of our labor, I was able to craft a ton more dragon lures. With these, I was determined to go and hunt down the remaining dragons. These are all really rare, so it took a lot of searching. But by day 75, in the jungle, I finally found an Axu. He's so adorable. I quickly caught our new green pal, and I'm sure something this cute could never evolve into something that isn't adorable. Never mind. I was having no luck finding these rare dragons, and with time running out, I instead tried to find the Gen 8 fossil dragons. First, I enchanted some armor to help me survive and move around underwater, basically turning my character into a walking submarine. Now I can easily search the bottom of the ocean for fossils, which I rapidly dug up. Then, after furiously banging away at some aluminium ingots, we can craft fossil cleaning machines. These uncover the fossils that we just dug up. To revive Dracovish and Dracozolt, we need a Drake fossil, as well as a bird or fish fossil. These are pretty rare though. I got about 6 trillion Ormanite fossils to praise Lord Helix with, but not the dragon fossils that I was really after. It was already day 77, and we were running out of time, so I had to be efficient. I spent dawn and dusk hunting Drampa in the mushroom biome, before spending the day hunting Applin in the forest, as well as Duraludon in the mountains. I would then spend the night collecting fossils, and after a few days of this cycle, I finally had the fossils I needed. By slapping these bad boys into the fossil machine, we can resurrect some powerful, ancient dragons, and my god, I'm sure they're going to look incredible. What are you supposed to be? Anyway, now we had the 2 ancient abominations added to our dragon decks. There were only 3 dragons left, but they're also some of the hardest to find. However, I was gonna have to try if I wanted to become a dragon type master. So I got back to hunting, and I forgot to record. I caught all these Applin, and one of them was actually holding a tart apple. With that, I could evolve one of my apples into this tiny little flapple. Now I only needed 2 more dragons, both of which are ultra rare. I spent days hunting these 2 elusive dragons, and this was so painful. It was taking forever, and I just wasn't having any luck. Until I found a Drampa. Haku, the grandpa dragon, took pity on me and finally appeared. I quickly caught it, bringing us one step closer to completing our goals. While it feels like we're so close to finishing, in reality, we were in a really tough spot. I still needed to find the rarest dragon, a shiny dragon, and defeat 3 difficult gyms. And we had to do all of this in only 15 days. It was gonna be tough, but I would fight down to the very last day. I spent ages desperately trying to find a Duraludon in the mountains, but that just wasn't happening. So I turned my attention back toward the gyms. I spent some time training up my new team members, also evolving our cute little Axu into the not-so-cute Haxorus. After upgrading my movesets, I stormed into the Poison Gym, ready to establish my dominance over the gym leader, who looks like a harmless little duck. Except that's not what happened. In reality, my dragons were crushed by this Poison Gym. I lost time after time, even with some of the strongest dragons in the entire game. I was losing precious time, but these poison Pokemon were just so tough. This team has some huge threats, like a Choice Scarf Nidoking with Ice Beam that pretty much one-shots all of my Pokemon. On top of that, it also has a Galarian Weezing, which is a Fairy type, so it's immune to my Dragon types. But by far the worst thing on their team is Galarian Slowbro. This trash has a busted ability that lets it move first 30% of the time. Combine that with the quick claw it's holding, and the result is that this toxic demon will usually move first and crush my Pokemon with super effective ice beams. With all of these threats, combined with my terrible luck, I just kept on losing over and over again. But I didn't give up, and with each loss, I slowly refined my strategy, until this attempt happened. I lead with Salamence against Toxapex, who sets up Toxic Spikes. I try to boost my stats with Dragon Dance, but this Toxic Pest knows Haze, which really ruins my plan. Regardless, on this attempt, I raise my attack and speed to +1 before I get a lucky crit, killing Toxapex with a super effective Zen Headbutt. As always, the cheesy Slowbro is next and hacks its way to moving first, crushing Salamence with Ice Beam. However, now it's time for the cursed Mr. Fish to shine. The leader switches into Galarian Wheezing, but I planned for this, with Zen Headbutt doing solid damage. A few of these take out the dank Chimney, removing one of my biggest threats. Dracovish does fall to a Sucker Punch from Toxicroak, but it did well. Good job, Mr. Fish. I send in Garchomp next, and one Earthquake is enough to get a quick KO onto Toxicroak. Then the deadly Nidoking emerges and fires off a huge Ice Beam, which should absolutely annihilate my Garchomp, but I'm holding the Yachi Berry, which severely reduces the damage. Thanks to that, Garchomp just survives a hit before Earthquake crushes the deadly Nidoking. Garchomp dies to poison damage, so I go with Dragalge next, and since it's a poison type, this removes the Toxic Spikes from my side of the field. The leader switches into Slowbro, but my Choice Specs Dragalge is a beast, with Dragon Pulse doing huge damage. Thankfully, Slowbro's cheesy ability doesn't activate on the next turn, so one more Dragon Pulse finishes it off. Last is Mega Venusaur, but our Poisonous Dragon is an amazing counter, with a string of Dragon Pulses finishing it off. That gives us the win over what was easily my toughest gym battle yet. But the next two gyms really worry me. First, I tried the Dragon Gym, where we would fight for the title of Strongest Dragon Tamer. This is an interesting matchup, because while we are weak to Dragon, the leader's dragons are also weak to us. This ended up being perfect, as our speedy Dragapult can waltz in and dominate. Combine its super speed with a Choice Band, and Dragapult can cause chaos by spamming Dragon Darts over and over again. With that, we easily dominate the Dragon Gym on our very first try. Clearly, I'm the top Dragon trainer around here, and so only one gym remained, the Fairy Gym. This is easily the worst matchup for my dragons. Not only am I weak to Fairy, but fairies are completely immune to dragon attacks. This would be my toughest opponent yet, and the ultimate test of how good my dragons truly are. With only 10 days remaining, I stepped up to face the fairy leader and got crushed instantly. Unsurprisingly, my dragons were brutally shot out of the sky. So I went back to the lab and tweaked my strategy before trying one more time. I immediately Mega Evolve our Salamence before using Dragon Dance to boost my stats. I just survive a Play Rough from Azumarill before landing a Thunderfang. However, it isn't enough and Salamence is crushed. Not a good start. I try to land a Phantom Force with Dragapult for the revenge KO, but the leader switches into Slurpuff. Our spooky dragon does big damage to Slurpuff, but also falls, leaving us in a 4v6. Now Mr. Fish emerges, and this guy is my secret weapon, because Dracovish can learn the move Iron Head, which is super effective against fairy types. One of these is enough to finish Slurpuff, as well as the already weakened Azumarill that follows. Next is Klefki, and I have Dracovish evacuate, sending in Garchomp, who just survives a Dazzling Gleam, before a big Earthquake is enough to crush those keys. Alolan Ninetales finishes off my Garchomp, before another Iron Head from our Walking Fish just isn't enough to get the KO, causing another one of my Pokemon to fall. The situation was looking rough, as we were really behind. With limited options, I go into Dragonite next, and quickly finish Ninetales with an extreme speed. This brings out Togekiss, and we trade blows. However, our beloved starter, Blue Noodle, absolutely clutches up as Iron Head gets to flinch onto Togekiss. This gives us an extra turn, so we can finish it off with a third Iron Head relatively clean. This leaves only Gardevoir. I land a big extreme speed for solid damage as Gardevoir charges up Moonblast. This should kill, but I have my blue noodle holding a Roselli berry. This means I can just hang on before landing one more extreme speed to put Gardevoir on the brink of death. Dragonite does fall to another Moonblast, leaving us in a 1v1 between the fairy waifu bait and my poisonous kelp. However, Dragalge comfortably survives a Moonblast before one final sludge bomb crushes the simp magnet. That gives us an incredibly close win over the fairy gym, while also completing our goal of obtaining 9 gym badges. While celebrating in the gym area, I noticed something strange: a spawn area for fairy type Pokemon. And this made me think, if the fairy gym has a fairy type spawner, what if the dragon gym had a spawner too? And what if that spawner had Duraludon? This could be our ticket to finding our last dragon. So I rushed over to the dragon gym, and sure enough, I found a spawner. Except there was no Duraludon here. I was crushed. However, one of the other gyms did have Duraludon. This was so lucky, thank you God. After searching for a while, I finally found Duraludon, which I immediately caught. Look at how beautiful it is. In no time at all, we had caught the final Pokemon for our Dragon Dex, ticking off yet another goal. We were so close to becoming a Dragon-type master, but we had one final hurdle: a shiny dragon. Honestly, this goal is ridiculous. Not only are dragons incredibly rare to begin with, but finding a shiny is a 1 in over 4,000 chance. This just seemed way too unlikely to happen with only 8 days remaining. However, I had a plan. See, if I hunted for a shiny in the wild, I'd have to deal with dragons just being generally rare. However, I could improve my chances enormously by hunting at the dragon gym, since only dragons can spawn here. But it's still so unlikely because a shiny only appears 1 in every 4,096 times. And with the clock ticking, the odds were stacked up against us. Regardless, I was determined and would keep on pushing up until the very last minute. So I got to work knocking out every single dragon type. This was an absolute grind, but I knew that we only needed the tiniest slice of luck to go our way. But it just didn't happen. The days continued to roll by, and my mind was melting. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could hear was the annoying cry of Turtonator. I kept on trying, but kept on failing. It's almost as if I've done something to displease the shiny gods. I continued my hunt until, on day 95, I didn't find it. Day 96 was the same, as was day 97. But then, as day 98 began, I found a shiny Bagon. Look at this beautiful green boy. I caught it immediately, and at last, we had our shiny dragon. I spent the day training until it evolved into a glorious green shiny Salamence, one of my favorite shinies of all time, and it looks even cooler when Mega Evolved. Look at how awesome this guy is. Somehow, we had completed all of our insane goals just barely inside 100 days. We had truly become dragon masters. On my final day, I built a shrine of our awesome dragons on top of my base, which you can visit on the Anubis MC server right now by typing /warp Keegan. Jump into this video next for more Pokemon content. Let me know in the comments which dragon is your favorite, and leave a like for our crazy shiny luck. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.